Get into the playoffs, John?
They sure do. I mean, still early in the season, or earliest in the season, you could say so. But SK still have a lot of matches to play, and I feel if they win out, it should be more than doable for them. And having Stewie 2K coming into the team could be that motivation booster we talked about yesterday that could lure them into a playoff spot anyway.
Yeah, you feeling good about them making that run at the end of the season?
Good, not necessarily, but I feel like it wouldn't be a proper playoffs without SK, right? Like, it's something they have to make it there, one way or another.
Speaking of SK, one of their former members, a two-time major champion, Taco, is spotted sneaking onto the Team Liquid roster. Not going to be able to play today. There is that 48-hour roster lock when they add onto a team, so we'll see him likely tomorrow. But is this going to be? This has got to be one of the most high-profile moves we've seen.
Yeah, it's very surprising, I would say. Liquid is, as we talked about it, one of the most stable teams, if not the most stable team in the entire world right now. Somehow they managed to find the missing piece, which happened to be Steel. I feel, ever since they got him in together with Nafly, it seemed like the lineup finally clicked together, and now all of a sudden they need or want another change. Whether that's something that comes inside from the team, or a player leaving, or just they feeling Taco could be even more beneficial for them, that's going to remain to be seen. But I feel overall it doesn't really make sense to make a roster change on a team that's actually working right now.
Harry, I'm going to bring you in really quick before we get into the pregame, just so you get a chance to talk.
Big fan of that.
Yeah, we're going to get a nice zoom in on you. If you had to pick the roster change, Stewie going to SK or Taco going to Team Liquid, which one do you think is going to end up being better?
I think probably Taco to Liquid. I think he's really good, and I do like this Stewie move, but I think he can do some good stuff for this roster. I think he's going to raise the bar.
Okay. All right, raising the bar, and Team Liquid has already kind of raised the bar themselves, haven't they? All right, that's cool. I like that. Let's get into it. It's going to be SK. They're going to be taking on Optic. SK's been looking shaky. We know they have the ability, obviously. Yeah, that is a really nice way to put it. They're really only being buffered by Dignitas down there at the bottom.
Yeah, they've had a really rough start to the season. Then not just the season of Pro League, but Katowice, pretty much every tournament they've been to. Obviously, and that's probably what prompted the lineup change as well with Stewie. Didn't get a great start to his career with the Brazilians either yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously, forfeit loss versus Splice, and then not necessarily the most impressive showing either.
That has to be one of the most horrendous openings to a roster change that we've seen. If you take into account some of the other leagues, they went, 1-4 for the day and 1 forfeit loss pimp. Can you actually shake that off to just the opening day jitters?
Nah, I wouldn't say so, because normally we see teams actually performing well when they get a new guy in. Like they instantly start the honeymoon period, whereas Stewie 2K and SK yesterday didn't perform at all. As you said, they were facing some strong teams. Let's say that NRG, one of the most convincing team and informed teams right now. Yeah. So definitely not the easiest matchup to get off to a good start. But we even saw against Splice, it was not convincing the way they won yesterday in Cash. So I'm not sold on the whole idea yet. And I think especially the fact that the communication is now in English is going to be a big hurdle for them.
Let's bring up the standings again, just so we can kind of visualize this one more time. They are second to last in the league, and they've got a long way to go. As you can see, I mean, you would imagine eventually they're gonna take over guys like Ghost and Splice. And the whole thing we've preached throughout the season, Vendetta, has been they've played so many less games, they have plenty to make up for. But is this actually doable with Rogue sitting up there in 6th place? 21 points. SK has what, 12?
Well, one of the things that you have to take into this consideration as well is the fact that Cloud9 right now are not sitting at a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So they also have to take up one of the spots in the top 6, which again makes it a lot harder for SK. SK already have a bit of a mountain to climb in terms of how many points they have to fill in. And yes, I think that's more likely to happen with the team versus Rogue. The 9 gap deficit there is going to probably be made up. But for a team like Cloud9, I think that's going to be a different story. I don't necessarily see them actually getting past Cloud9 at that point. So maybe at best what they're looking at is a top 6 spot, considering how horrendous their start has been.
And that's a great point, because they're facing Optic today, which would be one of the teams that have to move out of the top 6 region. So if they don't 2-0 Optic today, then SK can already now, say to himself, this is probably not going to be possible. So we have to see a 2-0 today from SK. Otherwise, I feel we can already now say, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's a good direction to bring it as well, because Optic, even with their kind of new lineup with the Danes coming in, they're no joke. We've seen Config just recently with that high-profile game in the Sydney qualifiers, the most frags in regulation to have occurred in a professional match. When you're facing off against someone like that who can just single-handedly win a game, this SK cannot be feeling too comfortable going into this.
Yeah, especially because we've seen Optic has been weird. Like, even though we've talked about how SK looked shaky so far, and just even before they brought in Stewie, Optic have looked shaky as well, but they've gone from very high highs to very low lows. It's been either very convincing, very good, to being rather terrible, in all honesty. And they do have that kind of potential within the team, not just Config in himself, but Shazam is also the kind of player who can really step up in big moments. We've also seen that from Gade and Cajun as well in this season in Pro League, right?
Pimp, how do you say Gade's name properly?
Gale.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. Let's not focus on the rest of the Optic team quite yet. I don't want to move away from Config. We got a video of that record-setting performance. We'll bring it up for you right now. This is a record-setting performance against a Renegades team that we've been singing praises for some months now. So this is no slouch of a squad to go up against. And I guess the best place to start is this is a player that was removed from North for whatever reason, and a lot of people were scratching their heads at that one. When you see a level of performance like this and the way North is playing at the moment, the firepower they're missing is how is he the one that was dropped?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and we had to allow into the fact that it must have been something personal with winning the team or something outside of the game, because as you said, he's a guy that always performs, and he is definitely the firepower North is needing right now. Even when he played in North, he was, I think he was ranked top 15 as an individual player last season as well. A guy that can do it all in the game. He can even op if needed. I want
to stick with you really quick, Pimp, because I know you've coming up in the Danish scene. You probably played against Config, and most recent professional player of all of us here on the desk. What is it about Config that makes him so difficult to go against?
It's the way he plays. It's the literally no respect way of playing Counter-Strike. There's a lot of players out there who, assuming show no respect when they're on the server, but Config is the only one who actually can carry it through. He has the balls to do it, and he always does it for some reason. So he always goes for the duels. You never really get to chill down. If you see Config and he's going at you, it's not like you're gonna wait for him to re-peek again. He's coming there 100%. So he's coming, and somehow he still makes it work every single time, and that's what makes him so difficult to play against, because you actually can't predict what he's doing, because it's the same thing over and over again. But he's just so goddamn good at doing it. And his aim is just one of the best 5 aimers in the entire world, which is on point. There's no doubt about it. His crisp aim and his movement, in a sense, is just insane.
Do you think anyone can match him in terms of his smack talk?
No.
I want to say Pasha, but I don't know how
Pasha's smack talk is way too friendly.
Yeah, exactly. That was I don't know how intentional Pasha's smack talk is all the time either, right? No, Config's definitely an interesting character in that sense. I wish we would have had more vocal North American players. I guess that's where you find them. Config is a bit of an anomaly in that sense, the fact that he's a European who actually...
We do, though. They just don't have the style configuration. There's a few North American players where they think they can go out, in public and say something, and you just think to yourself, that is stupid. Why are you saying that? Whereas Config, you know what he's saying is stupid, but he can follow it through. He can have something behind it and back it up. With the performances.
Pimp, you've talked some smack in your day.
Yeah, and I've also been playing on a very high level most.
Well deserved. Let's move on to kind of the rest of this Optic roster as well, because I know you started to bring him in. Shazam looked like a solid opera towards the end of his tenure in Misfits. They have Cajun B now coming over, who's always been lauded as one of the best hybrid kind of players of being able to use the op and the rifle. And then Gade, and however Pimp says it, that's a player that looks solid fundamentals as well. So there's a lot of things going for the other 4 players on this team.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously Stanislaw bringing in the leadership part of this.
How could I forget Stanislaw?
Exactly.
How'd I do it?
Well, you hate Optic.
That's a good point.
It's well documented. Yeah. But no, definitely so. I've been kind of disappointed by how what we've seen out of Shazam for, I guess, the start of the tenure in Optic. I think he left Misfits on a very high.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the more positive surprises towards the end of 2017, honestly. So a bit disappointed that we haven't seen him kind of continue on that trend, but still time to work things out. Luckily for them, they still have a config who hasn't really let go of anything, and that's why they do find themselves in the top 6 as of right now.
Let's get to discussing the map, because with some of these new rosters and obviously not a whole lot of glimpses of Optic, they're going to be playing on Train. Does this have an advantage, not necessarily tactically, but this is that map. Remember, SK has historically been amazing on it. Then they went through that kind of slump. But is there anything that makes you feel better about SK? And as you guys mentioned, this is must-win 2 maps for them. They have to win both.
I guess, well, I could just say really quickly about Optic. Optic has played Train a ton in Pro League. The thing that worries me is that they keep picking it, but they keep losing on it. And I think that's that's a massive benefit for SK. But you kind of figure eventually, if they keep going back to the map, they have to figure it out eventually. So far, we've seen them being able to play one type of style on T side of Train, and that's very fast-paced. Whenever they've slowed down the tempo, they've just completely lost track of what's going on. And they obviously can't let that happen versus a team like SK, because they've lost to worse teams than SK on Train.
I've got the word of my ear. We got about 30 seconds, so let's just go through predictions really quick. Must win for SK, or either you guys taking them on Train?
I think SK gonna win this one.
Yeah.
They have to, and they're better than Optic, player by player. You know, they need to win, and they need to show that they can be the top team that they used to be.
Cool. Halvor, are you going with SK as well?
Yeah, they got the rust out yesterday.
Cool. Well, I would normally throw this over to Casters, but I'm actually going to be hopping over to join Harriet and keep him some company. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do this one, but we are going to go live into the game pretty shortly as the players have loaded in. Any thoughts from you that they didn't touch on?
I can't believe that Pimp isn't staying true to his Danish boys. Never thought I'd see the day. But here we go. Yeah. Now we're going to be getting into this one. I'm excited, Jason. I'm very excited. Optic versus SK. It's a must-win game for the Brazilian/American squad. And yeah, I mean, Train has been a map that's been pretty good for SK. And Optic, they've tried playing a lot, but they've never really had all that much success on this map.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to call, right, with kind of the Stewie coming in as Ross Change. Individually, he's always been pretty good on Train, though, even when he was in Cloud9. So that's got to be a positive. I think the question is he going to have gelled quick enough to make... I mean, as they said on the desk, these are basically... SK has to win this map and the following, so you don't have a whole lot of time if you're SK to get Stewie involved and kind of meshing very well. There's no room for error at this point.
Yeah, no, there is no room for error for these SK guys. Every game is important. You're kind of at that point now where it feels like, you know, it's in not only their hands, but we're almost at that point, you know, where they kind of have to rely on everyone else making a couple of mistakes right up towards the top of the board. They know the pressure, and they're going to be feeling that. So Stewie early on takes his peek, and he spots a lot of people on that. He gets the information that there were players pushing on in. Actually, I think he only saw one or two, so haven't really rotated anyone in just yet. Stewie gets caught rotating back, though they weren't able to find the kill, so he will be presented with an opportunity to back away. 5-on-5 in the retake, no kills yet to come in, and well, Fallen and the gang have started to pull through. First going to go down, Fallen answers back. Zam quick to pick up Stewie, and suddenly man advantage in favor of Optic.
Yeah, but nice headshot from Fallen. Still going to keep the dream alive. Gate up close, and that's a brilliant turn on to Fallen. He's going to follow it up with one left. Stanislaw grabs it, but there it is, the clean sweep for Optic. Those 5-on-5 retakes, so difficult. Stewie maybe caught a little bit off guard. I think maybe the CT side, I think we could see Optic head towards that inner bomb site quite frequently. I think Stewie looked a little uncomfortable in that kind of an engagement. So 1-0 lead for Optic as they take the pistol on the UMPs. The AKs come out.
Yeah, good start here from them. They've got 3 UMPs in play. I want to try and make some money. SK, they force ball down. Fallen has the scout, and he's very talented with this. We've seen him have quite a few rounds where he's just gone off with this weapon.
Especially on Train, if you give him the space and the time to like take plenty of shots and get a lot of repeats, he's gonna be able to deal damage, tag up some of you before the hits come in. So they've got to be careful. At the moment, Fallen is out by the bomb train, and it's actually Bolts who's looking like he's gonna get the brunt of the pressure over towards Ivy. Stanislaw making a presence in. Here's Bolts, can't react quick enough. Config down to 54. He leads the way with the kill. They're just gonna walk right into it, aren't they? Fallen with the scout, misses the initial shot. They're going to have the angle, and the AK punishes him, and now the defense outside is scrambling to cover all the holes, and they just can't do it. Fer gets one, but he's pounced on from behind, and all that's left is Stewie's flank. And Optic are going to win a second without too much of a whimper, even from SK.
Yeah, just the new boy left, and he, you know, won't look to get anything done here. He has himself a CZ. Maybe he can find one of these players as they look to exit from the site. But it's going to be a second round for Optic regardless. And, you know, for SK, not really getting any damage into this round is a bit disappointing for them. You know, teams more and more, we see them move away from going for this force buy here. And I think, you know, when you do go for it, you expect them to find one or two, and that's not the case. And, you know, Train is such an important map in terms of, you know, having that utility into round number 4. I think especially versus Optic when they have the explosive power of players like Config. And, you know, they have that AWP presence as well that Shazam can bring. You kind of need that utility. And now SK going to be quite limited in that regard looking into round number 4.
I think the big point that you just kind of touched on there is going into round 4, they're going to be missing the AWP. It's not really the nades I'm worried about. You're going to let Shazam or even maybe Cajun B like hold that AWP for plenty of time in one of these choke points, try and find some kills. You're not going to have the smokes to block them off, but you're not going to have an AWP even to kind of keep them honest. So in the 4th round, the sniper for Optic could do some work. It's going to get the freedom for it. As Optic try and make it 3 straight.
Yeah, they would love to convert these first 3 rounds that nade out onto Fur. Finds a little bit of chip damage, but not too much. 4 players over here on A. You know, this is a round that really we're expecting Optic to win, and for them it's just a matter of how many bodies go down while they do it. So yeah, this round we kind of feel like we already know the outcome. SK, they're hoping to maybe try and find a couple of kills. Any damage they can do, it is great. And it looks like Optic going to be playing towards the B-bomb site. Stewie's here with that CZ and armor. He's going to be holding the fort. Yeah, looking to try and stand on his own at 2 feet. Something that you imagine Trace wishes he could do right now, but he's not feeling too well.
Yeah, he'd probably love to. Well, Stewie's blinded up. Well, that's a good kill. Recovers and can't get the follow-up. Does bring Shazam down low, but meanwhile, the rest of SK is being pressured, but they're finding the frag. USP, so still huge advantage for Optic, but maybe not the ideal scenario, especially Fur's going to have a flank going on, but with that kill, Cajun can turn around and watch it, and this should kind of spell the end of danger for Optic, and I think even, yeah, Cold Zero was spotted, goes back for it, but Fur with 1 more kill, so this is at least costly. Not a huge chance of losing the round as Fur's going to be the one leading the way, but money taken away from Optic, and there's still Gade left in here to find. He gets the 1 kill, but Fur is above him, and he's looking for it. He knows exactly what's coming next, finds the frag. That's pretty big. 4 kills for Gade in the round. Now we get to see what SK is possibly going to be able to fight with, and as we said, no AWP. They're going to be light on the nades. They might not even have a kit into this, which could be very, very dangerous, especially if it's going to be another inner hit for the Optic side. Decent amount of smokes, though, for the SK side. A lot of those kills maybe allowing them to get that extra smoke or extra flashbang.
Yeah, it's Fallen who picks up the kit. You saw him kind of weighing it up for a while, whether to go for the extra utility or for that defuse kit. And he does pick one up eventually. And, you know, lack of the AWP means that they're kind of forced to have that much more of a presence over here towards A early on. They've gone ahead and pushed Fur up into Pop Dog. That gives him a nice forward position. And, you know, a very tricky place for Optic to try and contend with. And in the back of doing that now, they've gone ahead and rotated Cold Zero off back into the B-bomb site. So Optic just holding this default right now. Waiting to see if SK maybe try their hand at any aggression, and now it looks like they're going to work to try and flush Fur out from Pop Dog.
It's going to be the important task, isn't it? Here's a nice boost from Bolts to peer over the smoke. Going to see nothing as Gage just falls back. The double drop coming in. Fur is going to not even be able to take 1 down. Couldn't even find Stanislaw. That would have been perfect if you take the bottom player out. The top player falls into your crosshair. Can't accomplish it, though. And Optic don't take advantage of it aggressively. They still are holding on patiently. Interesting decision from SK. They're actually just going to gamble stack at this B bomb site. If Optic were to go B, they'd have a chance, but I think this is just going to be the save call. Bolts, unfortunately, is the only one outside, and he's not really falling back. He's actually under so much pressure. Finds the 1 kill, but needs to get into safety now. I don't think SK can go for this without... They do have a kit on Fallen, but not a whole lot of utility. This will be a very tough call to decide if they want to put their economy. This is all they have. They'd have to save if they lose this round, and if they risk too much and it gets taken away, Optic could have a big lead early on.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to how these first few engagements goes, and as Stewie spines Stanislaw over in Pop, that has given them a massive way into this. Gay gonna go down as well. Suddenly it's all on Shazam. 1 versus 4. Does manage to pick off Stewie, but they're sticking the defuse, and Shazam's just gonna back away. He does give this round up, doesn't want to risk peeking into the 1v3. And so SK, they managed to do the impossible in that retake. They managed to get it done. And actually, they only lose 1 man in the process in the form of Stewie.
That's the wild thing is I thought, you know, if that was going to be successful, I thought it was going to have to be at least a couple different trades. Optic really drops the ball on a couple of the crossfires they had set up, and it seemed like a round that for sure Optic would be able to hold on to. And even with only getting, what, 1 or 2 kills, SK is able to build up money, and now they have much stronger utility. Still no AWP, but they've got the Molotovs on board, and Stanislaw completely blind though. So is all of SK, and he's going to spray them all 3 down. Stanislaw, he gets in there with the quickness and finds all 3 frags, opens up the B bomb site, and that is crushing for SK.
That is complete and utter destruction. I mean, he is down with the quickness, as you say. That was fantastic from him, and that was like the least SK-esque mistake that I think I've ever seen.
How are they all blind?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that is unreal. The fact that, you know, the flash hits all 3 of them so perfectly. You know, that wasn't even like, you know, they just got tapped by it. That was like fully, you know, a good good few seconds, because Stan had more than enough time to readjust and take control of the spray. Fantastic control from him, and now suddenly, you know, Bolts, he's going to fall trying to save. Gade still just lies in wait down towards Ivy, and Fallen desperate to try and cling onto this M4, because it's really going to be the only thing they have looking into the next round.
I need to know who flew that flashbang from Optic, because Hex needs to be taking him out to a nice steak dinner tonight. That was so beautiful. Stanislaw, you're not going to get many easier spray downs than that one. Who threw it? Who was? Oh no! We'll just never find out, I guess.
Yeah, we experienced
there's
what
no
the
mini
SK
map on the
goes.
replay, so we just don't get to see. That's unfortunate, but I mean, brilliant play from Stanislaw and his teammate for throwing the flash. Not out of it just yet. SK's going to buy again. 2 scouts on Fur and Fallen, the Famas on Bolts, and Stewie with the M4. But this is desperate early on. This is they want to avoid that really hard reset, but they might just put themselves in a hole in this half. It's going to be so tough. If they lose this round, it's going to be really tough for them to grind their way back into economic strength.
Yeah, no, it really is. They've put it all on the line here. They've stuck everything into this one round. And you know, on the CT side, that economy is a harsh mistress. You know, it is something that can really just destroy a CT side single-handedly. So, Spikes and flashes raining out towards A. This is where SK luckily enough for 4 players, and Bolts is going to start to go in with some aggression down through Ivy in response to this. The only issue is Optic, they're already inside of this B bomb site, and Stewie here to try and shut them down. Does find one, but that'll be it for him. Config in a great position to trade. Finds that kill, no problem. Just like that, 4-on-4, and SK, the save calls come on in.
Yeah, how are you going to retake this? Bolts might be able to do something, so they're waiting by for this flank to have impact. Cajuns missed the timing, but it's got to speed up if it's coming in, and they've already called for the save. Fallen Fur and Cold Zera just abandoned ship, and even Bolts backs away with that Famas, so keeping some weapons in their hand for the next round, because as I said, I mean, they know it as well. If they were to lose all these weapons and have nothing, that almost might be too big of a hole too early on the CT side, even for them. So Optic off to a really nice start in a must-win game for SK. I don't think that AK-47, it goes too far out, and Bolts doesn't even try and pick it up.
And I mean, at this point, I'm kind of curious to see, you know, what's the next event we're seeing SK at online? Marseille?
DreamHack Marseille.
Yeah.
And Sydney, I believe they're going to be at.
So I'm really curious to see what they look like on LAN, because, you know, their online performances thus far. I mean, obviously it's early days since adding Stewie in, but I mean, like, even kind of before that, right, they were very shaky. I'm curious to see what this team looks like on LAN, because they have been having a very tough time of it, you know, recently with these online matches.
Seen a lot of teams go through kind of some of the struggles of online Counter-Strike, though, at various points. There's the jump down, the AWP in position, and first swings out, obliges Shazam with a frag, and Molotov not going to slow things down too much as the smoke is used to put it out. And still SK rotating over towards CT spawn as if they want to go for this. They're going to buy in the next round, so they can risk a couple of these weapons. Good kill from Stewie. And Stanislaw's going to trade it back, so still no progress being made down these lanes and no real chance of a defuse coming in. Stanislaw's got a great angle to shut it down even before it starts. Even going to find some frags on their way out. They're still challenging. Stewie on top of the train. That's a great headshot, but again, Shazam with the op is there to slap him back down. So a 6th for Optic. And SK, maybe the second or third actual goodbye they'll have in this half is coming up next.
Bolts able to save the Famas up, does give them that much more to work with into this next round. Still can't see them get the AWP. That's a little bit devastating for Fallen. You kind of feel like, you know, maybe if we could see him get that, then this could be a different narrative. It's going to be rifles across the board once again. Thankfully, now you have Bolts with that little kind of bit of extra padding, which I guess facilitates an AWP buy in the coming rounds regardless. But, you know, 8 rounds in, and SK yet to have an AWP. And on top of that, I mean, I think this is what, like their second decent buy that we've seen them have?
Third, because the round they won, the follow-up where they were pretty much full about this one, yeah. So They've had some chances. I mean, unfortunately, one of them is the round where Stanzal got that triple, and here comes Execute outside. Fur is essentially burned alive. His aggression is going to be tempered, so Fallen steps up to the plate. One more. He predicts Cajun B climbing up the ladder, but can't find the frag, and Fur is just waiting inside the smoke. There's a clock on this, though. It's going to disappear soon, and all of his teammates are going down. Firster hasn't made his play, and now he's done it. He's going to take out the bomb carrier, but everyone else is dead. And now, including him, 7-1 for Optic, as they're just steamrolling SK.
Yeah, they are. This is not at all what I'd envisioned. Now the AWP going to come out in this round, which is a curious decision. Bolt's dropping that over. Because then throws it onto Fallen. I guess they want to try and take the fight to Optic now. I mean, they are 7-1 down, but still, I mean, this is a very big gamble to take.
They're trying to use whatever tools they can to get back on the board, right? Even if it is a big risk, because Bolts had saved that Famas, and there's Fallen with the opening pick. Gets aggressive, and Shazam's not ready for an AWP to be on the board. They didn't expect that whatsoever. So at least a clever buy has yielded SK an opening kill. 5-on-4. That's going to allow Cold Zero to rotate inside, but they still have so much work to do. These pistols are no joke, and it's a crossfire. Stewie up top, Cold Zero behind the train with the Deagle, and they both go down. Now the AWP from Cajun B can actually pin Bolts into the connector, and that's exactly what it does. Utility being used. Fallen is on that big flank, but it's the AWP, so it's not the most wieldy, and Fur with the Scout it's almost impossible to get out of this position with that weapon.
Yeah, if they can hold on to the AWP, though, it's not that bad. You know, they managed to do a bit of damage into this round, and then they take that into the next round, so it's all good if they can hold on to it, which it looks like they're going to be able to do. Optic aren't too keen on hunting. They want to keep building up this money. You can see a couple of the players low. I mean, everyone else is fairly fine. First able to find that on Cajun B. Not able to retrieve the AK, though, which he's a bit devastated about, but it will be an 8th round for Optic. SK, they have the AWP onto Fallen, and a full buy to go around it. This is first time we've seen them have an AWP with a complementing cast of rifles to back it up.
2/3 of the way through the game, essentially, so actually they're just going to go straight for the double AWP setup. Stewie picks one up, and he's been the defender inside, and I actually feel like Stewie and Cold Zero could have got more done there. That was more deadlier, I think, than the results would dictate. So Stewie's going to keep his AWP towards inner, towards lower ramp. Fallen's got his outside, and if it was Stanislaw that threw his own flash that round, that'd be incredible. Let's see, a lot of players from Optic huddled up, 4 players in towards team mid. It was only Stanislaw to take box halls, and here it is, the explosion, almost a contact play, and Cold Zero's not ready for it. Neither is Bolts. Thankfully, Fur and Fallen, the awareness to shut it down, but still the kills going in the way of Optic, and now Stewie. It's his turn. It's his call to action. The 2 AWPs from SK. The only weapons left standing. Flashbang is going to blind up Stewie. They know exactly where he is, and he can be pinned into the bomb train. Fallen's trying to provide cover from far back, but it's not the easiest thing. And, ooh, Shazam, that peek, and there goes Fallen. Probably one of the better chances SK had, but a surprising contact play. Catches 2 players out for free.
So Optic now up 9-1, and as the analyst kind of said, Optic, they've opted to play train a lot, but they haven't really had the most amazing results on it. And they're currently 9-1 up versus this new look SK roster. This is not something I think many people would have predicted. It was, I think both the analysts leaned the way of SK, said it was a must-win game, and that, you know, pound for pound they have more skill. Well, right now, Optic, they are looking at...
What is that?
Ooh, Shazam with the P. No idea.
How that's not even, I don't even know if that's mispositioning or miscommunication, but that is a massive blunder that we're not used to seeing from SK. Fergus with no knowledge that he's able to be seen from there. Fallen's going to find the equalizer on the other side of the map as Stanislaw, as he's normally done, goes for some kind of control. Cajun gets tagged up, but so does Stewie. He gets legged. Cajun's going to push all the way down. They are aware of this. Stewie's watching for it. There's a flashbang. Bolts, it's his turn to find this kill. It's a blind Cajun B. It doesn't get much easier than that. Cold Zero close up, gets taken down. 3-on-3, and still pressuring the bomb site. It's Config out in the open. The AWP from Shazam cannot find his opponents. Molotov into the train, and somehow Gate actually saves Config's life, and Fallen's got to push forward. He needs to be involved with this AWP. Him and Bolts, the last 2 remaining, and through the smoke. Fallen answers the bell, and it's just Gade. 1 versus 2, working his way onto the top of the bomb train, and there's Fallen. Scopes over as Gade tries to make a play in a 2nd round on the board, but it was costly and it was close.
And it's the fact that it was so close that it's really going to come back to punish SK if they lose this next round. I mean, money is not ideal. Fallen and Bolt's actually going to have to drop over if they want to have these rifles with a, you know, a supporting belter utility to accompany it. Nice shots though from Fallen. He's been someone who I think has still been, you know, very consistent for SK even during these rather dark times they've been going through as of late.
This is the round, though, if you're Optic, as if you're Stanislaw, or if you're, you know, if you're talking during the timeout, you're saying, listen, guys, we lost that one, but we know their money is still incredibly low. They haven't stabilized, they haven't built anything up. So if we win this, we essentially win the game, is probably the conversation. Because if you win this, if you're Optic, and SK has to double save moving forward, then you're sitting around looking at 12-2, and a 12-3 or a 13-2 half would be just so much in your favor that you almost feel like there's no way you could lose. Even though we have seen it. This is Optic on the T side of the train, though, just spanking SK, giving him a lesson. Good nade, though, from Bolts.
Yeah, Gade's picking over the top here. He's been boosted on up onto the shoulders of, I don't even know who. I think Config, yeah. So he's taking a little peek on in. Didn't spot anything. They're going to start to progress in through Ivy. They have Stanislaw over here towards Pop Dog, and looks like he wants to try and challenge this. Now, Fur's down there, and you imagine there's no way that he wins this engagement out over Fur, who's just posted up at the bottom of Pop. He now has Cage and B rotating in, so they could look to go for it together, but no, somehow Optic, they've been allowed all this control in towards the CT spawn. They all just slip by. Look at them go. They've gotten all the way to CT, and it was spotted, it was telegraphed, they know exactly what's going on, but Stewie and coldzera both dropped the ball, and now Bolt's going to go down as well. Fallen, well, he's fallen, and Fur is left 1v5.
Well then, you don't often see it work that well. Nicely done from Optic, a cool tactical call. Pays off with huge results. This is the reset that SK was fearing, and there's so much time on the clock that Fur has to survive.
And the scary thing is, right, if he holds on to this M4 somehow, you imagine it's going to be there in SK's mind to maybe even go for the Force, right? Like, they've shown that they're not afraid to go for it, and if he's got a rifle and now he's got extra money because those 2 kills, he could drop, you know, something over.
Oh no, that's heartbreaking. That is crushing. Nothing going the way of SK today. Yeah, I don't even know if you could force buy, even if Fur was able to save that M4. I guess he could drop a UMP over, but this is so well executed. Stanislaw, a couple of nice frags. Essentially 3 players at the inner bomb site for SK, and they couldn't stop it. SK's going for the buy here. They're not comfortable with where they're at. Not going for the save, for trying to play for 4-11. They want to play for 5-10, but could be disastrous. Shotgun in the hands of Fur and Shazam. Ooh, he spotted the shoulder. Maybe the elbow. He's just had so much freedom this whole half. Just sitting T-mid. No one to really pressure. I think one of the first rounds that Fallen had that AWP actually got the kill, and there it is again. Fur on top of that train gets picked off. Same style. Shazam just jumping up on the boards.
And of course, that's the literal board and the scoreboard as he makes his way up. He's been delivering a very good performance right now for Optic. Now, still he's holding close here. That flash is perfect, picture perfect. Stan's going to, once again, take full advantage of those flashbangs over towards B. It was Config to help him out that time around. And now there's Fallen here with the CZ, and as strong as it is, as good as Fallen is, he's only able to get himself 1. So now just Bolts and coldzera remaining, and Bolts being on this flank. Well, maybe something could have come from it, but Shazam is feeling ruthless today. So it's just coldzera remaining, 1v4. And this is where, for SK, you know, going for the Force here, this is where it's really going to start to hurt. Because now they're in a double save once again. Well, they can't even do that, right? Because it will be the end of the half. So they're just going to have to either just force buy now to the very end.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations. You brought it up yesterday. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever you're kind of in the mood for. Yeah, this is tough to watch. And remember, this is an Optic Gaming as well. When we saw them in the first week, they didn't look good at all. They didn't look coordinated in any kind of way. They're kind of in the position that SK is looking right now. And obviously, they've been putting in some work. We mentioned they've played a lot of train, so obviously, naturally, you're going to start feeling comfortable on this map just with the sheer amount of games played, whether you win or lose. And Optic tactically and individually outplaying SK in a big, big way. coldzera, 3 kills. last year's #1 player of the year. Bolts is at 4. Only Fallen's in double digits. Meanwhile, you've got plenty of players on the Optic side of things reaching over 10.
And I mean, this round, you're looking at coldzera to be the catalyst. And, you know, usually that would be, you know, not too out of the question, right, to ask him to come up with something big. But right now, he's struggling. Currently bottom of the board for SK. And he's the one they need to kind of try and... Ooh. Okay, that's a free kill onto Gade. A bit of an error, perhaps, there to not have someone keeping an eye that direction. But in response to this, they know there's been aggression in towards Ivy. They're just going to go running into this B bomb site, and Stan, he's able to find the first Stewie. You don't imagine he gets much done with the USP, and he does not. He lives up to what we expected, really. coldzera doesn't stand the test of time either. It's just Bolts left. He's got that one AK picked up off the body of Gade. He could go. There's no point. You know, he's really just looked to hold on to the AK. Any damage he does, it doesn't make, just makes no difference to Optic's money.
Yeah, it could be nice to see him hold on to that AK-47, especially if he could find some way. I don't think the losing bonus is big enough if they would be able to drop it over and have someone get an AWP into Fallen's hands. Might not matter this late in the game. They're going to be playing for 13-2, which is just unseemly. Pretty simple stuff for Optic as well. I mean, that's just kind of, they lose Gade and they hit the inner bomb site. Just pistols they're working with. And yeah, no op is going to be available. Bolts will at least be able to have, you know, all the utility and the kit and everything. He can supply a lot more than some of the other guys. But SK is just playing for either a terrible half or a bad half. Or maybe just terrible both ways you look at it.
I think it definitely subscribes to the second option there, Jason. This is, there's really no sugarcoating. That's something, you know, I mean, I think analysts used to do that quite a lot. I think all the casters did try and sugarcoat stuff, but now it's a sugar-free environment. It's extra salt is the new way, is what it seems like.
A lot of setup to that joke.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really execute it well. I was thinking about it earlier with Henry. He's just triggered by everything now. You know, he used to be so full of promise and so excited by everything, and now it's just turned to resentment.
I've always got him in a happy mood, Harry. Don't worry. Just got to know which buttons to press.
That is true.
Well, Fur in ladder room. They've taken care of him once or twice in this position with some of the drops, and they actually SK coldzera and Stewie playing that inner bomb site. Bolts is going to get tagged down to about 48 HP. Here comes Stan. Flashbang down. He's going to drop with it, and he's going to double drop with it. And actually, Fur again gets absolutely nothing done. Fur's been having a really rough half on this outer train yard. Good kill from Fallen, but can he build on it? No. Shazam has the response, and Bolt's out in the open again. Really uncomfortable. Maybe not expecting that gap in the smoke. Gets caught firing away, and Stewie with one kill halfway through the smoke. It's a 2-on-3. Boost up coming in as Shazam gets the bomb planted. He'll have to try and find his way out of the site, but coldzera can spot him. And now the retake is on. No kits on either of the player. They're out of utility as well. Stewie's going to try and wrap around this green train towards Hell. Now pushing forward. Gade waiting for the presence, and he looks away at the wrong moment. Stewie spots him out. There's the footsteps. One player left. Just Stanislaw with the off angle in towards team A. Easy kill onto Stewie. Because of no kit, coldzera has to get off of it, but there's no time for this. And that spray gives up the game. The Molotov now on it, and Stanislaw's 1-on-1 versus 2. It is going to be 13 rounds for Optic. They put a clinic onto Train, and Stanislaw just toying with coldzera even as he jumps out and just going to go to the bomb, sacrificing himself in victory. What a half from Optic Gaming.
They are going to be over the moon with that outcome, Jason. I don't think anyone would have predicted quite such a dominant half from Optic. I mean, there's no doubt that there is an abundance of talent, an abundance of firepower inside of this Optic Gaming roster. But to 13-2 SK on Train, that is quite the feat at the end of this first half. They'd be feeling very, very good. Top of the board for Optic, of course, going to be Stanislaw. And I think, you know, there's actually no surprise there, at least based on how we saw him playing. He was feeling very, very comfortable. Then he has the supporting cast of Config and Shazam just beneath him. And then for SK, I mean, there's not really any good news to take from that. Bolt's down there with 33 ADR. He's going to be kicking himself. coldzera was able to pick things up a little bit towards the end to not have like a... Well, no, I mean, it's bad. You know, it's not what we expect from coldzera. Yeah, there's There's no saving it, and I really want to, I want to be able to big Cold Zero up and really build on this, everyone on SK for that matter, but it wasn't the sort of standard we're used to seeing from them.
Yeah, SK, I mean, that seemed, SK put themselves in like monetary hell really early on in the half. And it seems like one of those things where they're kind of so uncomfortable and not necessarily having plans with Stewie coming in of what they want to do, which seems crazy since they've still kept that 4 players intact around them. But I mean, some of those risks they take with their economy early on in that half, once they get down like 6-1 and they're reset, you just know they're going to be in for a really tough time in terms of what they can buy for the rest of it. So it's only 2 rounds on your CT side is obviously not great. Obviously not great.
But, if you're a fan of your conspiracies, maybe you look at this and you say SK want to give themselves a real challenge to test the potential of this roster.
Okay.
Maybe it's.
I'm not sure you do that when you're like 1 loss away from being eliminated.
No,
from
yeah.
playoffs.
The higher the stakes, the better the game. That's the way that it goes. But Bolt's going to be able to find himself too. Okay, this is an all right start. Occasion B, he is just dismembering this take. He's going to get himself 4. Is denied the ace, and now Bolt's actually a chance to ace it for his own as he steals one away. He might have an ace up his sleeve. 1v2. Bomb down and out in the open. Spots out Gade inside the site. Bolts, this would be a fantastic time for him to step up. Looks on out, tags down Gade. This is possible now. Shazam's been spotted and Bolts 1v1. Finished the half with the lowest ADR and now looks to win the pistol for SK, and this is a must-win round for them. But Gade, no, Gade is merciless. 1 tap is all it takes, and he will close the door on any hopes and dreams that SK might have had in this map.
This is beautiful shooting from Cajun B. The kills at long range of the P2K. That's exactly what you want to see from the CT pistol. The exact fights that it's designed for, and it's really, really well done. And almost a 1-2 victory for Bolts, but just not to be. And now SK really, really in the thick of it. They just have to buy every single round from here on out. They need to go on a massive run. Stewie's got the only AK-47. He's going to lead the way towards that inner bomb. So he's got a couple players with him, and actually Cold Zera going to take up the mantle that Taco once held. Leading the way for his star rifler. 2 players inside, Gade and Shazam, and Shazam's on top of the high train, so he'll be able to spot this out at a decent time, decent amount of warning, and they're playing it pretty passively as well, playing far back. When does the call come in? When does Shazam spot this? Nothing yet. Here comes the hit. Gade. Take 1 down, and Shazam's forced away. He's blind, and the Cold Zera pushing up top with the Deagle, and actually it's Stewie to get that kill. The AK-47 finally ringing out. Still up top, and Stewie does more. He's got the close-up angle. He needs to win this fight as well, and he does. A triple kill for the new player. Stanislaw tapping away, finds Fallen. A great chance still for Optic. Stewie and Fur very low, 41 HP between them. Stewie can make no mistakes. He's dropped the AK-47 over, but now it's out of the action, and the Glock just won't do enough. Even with no kits, plenty of time for the defuse to come in. Optic going to be up towards map point.
Yeah, sure. Why not? This is 15-2 right now to Optic. This is just an utter destruction from them. They're going to be feeling so good about this. And for SK, I mean, there's not much they can really look to. I mean, they haven't been able to figure out what's exactly going on with this CT side default from Optic. They don't have any money to really invest into anything into this final round. Stewie has a rifle, Fur has a rifle, and they've also got UMP on Cold Zera. A little bit of utility as well. But they have no buffer, nothing. This is the only round they have to make it work. At least if they do, they reset Optic, but then they have to go on an absolutely insane run to pull it back to OT. And already they've lost Bolts. They've got a man down off the bat, not even a minute 30 on the clock, and already Bolts is out.
Yeah, Pimp said one of the strengths of Config is when he's playing with confidence, and when you're up 15-2, you're not feeling, there's not a whole lot more confidence you can feel than in that kind of a scenario. So obviously he's going to make those pushes, take those risks. Even Stanislaw beating out Stewie in a ranged fight. The bomb is out towards E-Box, but the defense here is still going to be strong. Config pushing up, he's out in the open, they line up for him. Double kill for him, Cold Zera even helping out on Fur, and there it is, the closing frag from Config. Quad kill in the round, he opens and he closes. And it's a 16-2 victory for Optic.
Yeah, not quite the scoreline I think we would hope for, but Optic, there's no question they were the better team there. They played phenomenally well. Everyone